Hello, and welcome to our talk track, Make Service Management Conversational. What we're going to talk about today is how to utilize cognitive AI services on top of your existing service management tools to open up a new channel for your users and your agents to engage within your service management system. What we're going to talk about is we're going to introduce what we mean by a conversational UI. We're then going to talk about how we deliver conversational capabilities to your organization. We're then going to look at a series of example user and agent journeys, and then talk about the success criteria and the return of investment from this type of technology and how it can benefit your service management environment. What do we mean by a conversational UI? So a conversational UI is a bot-style interface which is a human-like interaction. And the key here is that it understands both the intent of the sentence and then responds in a way you control. It allows your users and agents to talk as a human to a system which talks back like a human. So for example, if I ask a question, so I have an issue with email, it picks up that the intent is an issue, and it picks up that email is what I have an issue with. And then it can respond back with information which is pertinent to both my intent but also the variable that I've spoken. And this allows us to get very clever in terms of the way we talk back with knowledge and also the information that the bot responds back with. And that's the point of making the UI a conversational UI. It allows you to ask different questions, have a conversation that's controlled. The second key to this is that it will only ever respond to processes which you've defined, which allows you to drive an enforced process both from an end user but also from an agent perspective through the cognitive service. So for example, if I'm an agent and I want to update a ticket, it will enforce me to enter the information that I require to update that ticket. So for example, a work information note or an additional resolution categorization for closing a call. And that can all be enforced using the bot interface. And I can either type back to the bot or I can speak to the bot. So very much like you would use technology such as text messaging, WhatsApp, or even a Facebook style conversation, but this time engaging with your service management toolset, allowing your users to quickly and easily get information both from the service management toolset, but also update it and change it. In order to deliver this, first we have to understand what your business drivers are and what the key challenges are. There are several existing technologies you can choose, both cognitive behaviours, but also for how you want to interact within your service management technology. And it's important for us to understand what those drivers are so we can recommend the best solution for your environment. So do you need to reduce call volume? Are you trying to deflect calls? Or do you simply need a new channel for your service management so you can open that up to users and agents via mobile, tablet or desktop technology through both text and voice? We also want to understand what existing technologies you have. So for example, if you already use the Microsoft Office 365 stack, then it's most likely you might want to use the cognitive technologies that Microsoft provide. If you are in a secure or a secret site and you have data that requires additional level of sensitivity, then it would make sense for you to deploy an on-premise solution such as NextIT. By understanding your goals and also by understanding the technology landscape, we can then architect the right solution to you. And this does not necessarily need to be the BMC technologies. You could place our cognitive service over other service management tools, and also they sit on top of anything else you've got in terms of monitoring, SecOps, or other ways that you engage within your service management landscape at the moment. So for example, if a security alert comes in and it gets registered within a toolset, you could have the bot notify all of the agents that are linked to the configuration item that SecOps alert has been raised against. If I'm free, I could respond back in my phone, say, yep, I can pick up that SecOps alert. That will then notify the bot that I've got it and everyone else within my group. I could then apply the patch to cover that security hole, and that would automatically update the CMDB. But I would do that through 2 or 3 interactions with my mobile phone without the requirement to log into a service management call to pick up the alert and also update the CMDB after I've dealt with it. It's about understanding what you need, which allows us to drive the right decisions to optimize automation and usability. Once you've understood, we then implement. So what we're trying to do here is to simplify and automate repetitive tasks. And we want to redirect complex tasks to the right group. So we provide the conversational framework. Your users and agents ask the questions, and the tools that you've got can then do the automation. Clearly, we can help putting further automated tools. We can help with the scripting and the analysis. But it's about trying to understand what you need and then putting that framework in place. So we design the bot understanding, we tailor the language model, we integrate, we then look at the UAT and the go live. We then put some measurement, analysis and some enhancement framework in place to understand that we've met the goals that we outlined to begin with. And then we look to extend the AI strategy. So once you've landed the initial cognitive service, you can then expand it out, increase the level of automation you're doing, increase the number of tasks that it's completing, expand your knowledge base so that your users are getting better and better answers from this type of technology. We use a standard integration framework to talk to your system, and we automate all of the requests using any existing middleware you may have, such as MuleSoft or Telend. But if you don't, we can help architect and put in the right components for you. The technologies that we typically use. On the left-hand side, we have NextIT. We are a NextIT partner, and we typically deploy their cognitive solutions for on-premise, but also cloud customers, and in particular where there is a requirement for sensitive or secure access with no authentication out to the cloud. NextIT have got over 10 years in the cognitive market and therefore are uniquely placed to help you get to the right area that you want to within your cognitive journey. They also have a product called Bucketizer that allows you to look at existing tickets and look at existing knowledge you have within your organization to create those language models quickly and effectively. We also do a lot of work with the Microsoft Cognitive Framework as well. And this is because if you're on an existing Microsoft stack, it's quite likely that you have an already existing agreement to use many of the Microsoft cognitive technologies with very little cost. It also allows you to deploy those cognitive technologies to Skype for Business, and it also allows you to utilize the ongoing expenditure that Microsoft's making within this environment, and whether that's through natural language learning through Lewis or whether that's through face recognition technology. But the Microsoft Dev Framework provides a huge ready available stack that you can utilize. Finally, in the middle, we use our KTSL Reimagine framework to do standard integrations quickly and typically via fixed price. So this allows us to realize what you're trying to do through end-to-end automation with very little time scale and get you up and running very quickly so you can see a return on your investment within a few weeks, not a few months. Let's talk about some example journeys. So if we talk about some example user journeys at first, which is a typical example of how to use the bot channel. So I need to install an application. The other variations of that app could be, can I install some software? Or I need a new app. And the bot will respond with, I can install an application for you. Or you can use this link to launch Digital Workplace. It can then launch your self-service channel. Or could say, could you install this for me? And I could say, or yes, please install. Bot would again respond with, what application would you like to install? And this can query your distributed software library or your CMDB to pull back a list of applications that you offer that user. In this example, I'm going to pull back 5 tiles of apps that users typically install. And the user can either click Adobe or say, can I install Adobe? And it will raise the request for Adobe to be installed. It will return the request number, and it can also provide a link back to a tracker. So whether that's within Innovation Suite or within MyIT or within another application that you use. At that stage, you could also call a level of automation to drive that through SCCM and automatically install Adobe on that user's laptop, therefore not requiring any need to go to the service desk. The user then may say, do you have a guide for Adobe? And at that point, it can provide a link to the Adobe knowledge or drive the screen behind so it displays that knowledge article for Adobe on that user's device already. Another example of that user journey, I have an issue with email. So I have an email issue or my email is broken. Again, it can respond with, okay, let me try and help. Do you have any of these errors which match your problem? And can display a list. And it's pulling those error messages from your knowledge management system. So Outlook does not open, Outlook send and receive error, Outlook mailbox full, or none of the above. The user can then select one of those options. So for example, he's going to select mailbox full. And then it's going to present 3 options to help them resolve it. Do you want to delete email? Click here for a guide. Do you want to archive your email? Click here for a guide. Or do you want me to raise a mailbox extension request for you? Again, if the user clicks the mailbox extension request, it will automatically raise that request and show them the ID. But if those things did not help them solve the problem, then you could type in, no, I still cannot access, or it's still broken, and the bot understands that and then raises them an incident. And all of the information that's been captured through that conversation is put within the incident. So it allows the second line to support to more readily solve the problem, and also allows them to look at the knowledge they've used, so they are not repeating those processes when they then interact with the user. What's the typical success criteria and return on investment for these user journeys? Well, the idea is to automatically detect query types, so they go straight to fulfillment or assignment. The idea is to handle up to 80% of service desk tickets in less than 2 years. And by using best of breed and leveraging existing technology, we can get this up and running quickly. And the ROI could be based on increasing L0 resolutions, automatic routing or better data capture, freeing up support staff time, allowing end user responses to be handled more quickly, or by allowing an easier experience for those end users. So they could be in a meeting, they could be walking and talking through their phone, they could be just doing it while they're having another conversation with a colleague. But the whole point of this is a very simple, quick interaction with 3 or 4 responses can allow them to either log a request and have it automatically fulfilled, or have that request hit the desk with information that you want. The key here is those questions are driven by your process, and that's what allows you to then get the right answers through the bot. And it's about scaling your service management capabilities. So if you bring on more employees to your organization, or you're a managed service provider and you win another 3 or 4 accounts, this technology scales. You do not need to increase the desk, because the technology is trying to answer as many of those queries up front as it possibly can. But let's take a look at how this can help agents. Because typically one of the journeys that companies do not think about when talking about cognitive solutions is how it can help the agents as well as the users. So for example, can you list what I'm assigned? What assignments have I got? It will query Remedy and bring back a list of all the current tickets that they've got. It doesn't have to be Remedy, it could be another service management tool set. But then I could say, okay, can I close incident 12345? The bot will then say, well, can you provide the resolution text? I could provide, I have fixed it. In which case then it will close that incident for that agent. Another example could be, can you set incident 54321 to work in progress? And it will say, can you provide the work info update? I enter, I'm troubleshooting this now. It updates the incident and sets it to work in process. Again, in both of these examples, I've interacted with the bot with 2 simple interactions, and I haven't needed to log into my service management tooling. I've simply spoken to the bot or typed this in, and it's done the update for me, saving the agent valuable time. I could do more complex journeys. Let's say, for example, I'm on the train on the way home, and I know that I've got some tasks to do this weekend as part of a change. I asked the bot, can you tell me my tasks for this weekend? It says your tasks are, again, lists the first 20 characters of the summary and the ID for a mobile, provides a link for more detail. Now on the weekend I'm working on one of those tasks. Can I close task 12345? It prompts me to say, was it successful, partially successful, or a failure, etc. I click on the button that links to that success, and then it updates that task. Again, 2 simple interactions rather than having to log on to a tool. And what if we took it to the next level? Maybe one of my tasks on the weekend was to patch a CMDB server. So I say, can I update the CMDB for server 1? The bot says yes. What would you like to add? I've patched it to patch 1234. It updates the CMDB because it knows that patch number, it knows the CI, and it creates that relationship for you. Now in some service management tools that could be a 7 to 8 click journey, and you've done it with 2 sentences, and you don't need to understand how to navigate CMDB to do it. And that's one of the key benefits of using this style of interaction. It's about speed to delivery, it's about reducing training needs. So again, if you look at some of the success criteria here, it's about agents being able to speak to the service management tools. It's minimizing the interfaces that they need to use. And an example here was CMDB, making that data more accessible, but it could be knowledge data, it could be process flows for incident, it could be your service catalog. Whatever data you need to make more accessible is about producing a journey that allows you to get there, all driven through intent and through language modeling. Again, the ROI on this is about minimizing training requirements, it's about forcing process adherence, it's about reducing clicks and time spent navigating between apps, it's about reducing time to update a ticket, it's about allowing people to have access to the data that you already have within your subsystems. And I think the agent journeys are just as important as the user journeys because of the pure time that they can save. And it's about allowing your agents to see that data in a different channel. And if you've got multiple service accounts as a service provider, you can tailor that process against the customer that they're trying to interact with. And that allows you to drive that process with very little training. If you want to know more information about this, or you want to see a demo of our conversational UI in action, we will be at the BMC Exchange show on the 14th of November. Or contact KTS Sales today for a demo or demonstration direct to you to answer your questions about how we want to implement conversational UI. Thank you very much for your time.